I know it hurts, but we're at part 4 of this week's new comics, bitches! So, let's just kick it off. Okay, we've got... Nope, sorry, wrong one. There you are. Sneaky little bastard. Okay, so we've got Secret Avengers number 18. Warren Ellis, David Aja doing art on this one. And here we have this is an awesome cover from John Cassaday with Shang-Chi basically with a karate chop splitting a guy's head in half. Now, it's a pretty violent cover, but I'm assuming this is probably a robot or something like that. But it's just John Cassaday being, you know, his super dynamic, widescreen John Cassaday self. But let's actually talk about the issue here. I take back some. This is, okay, so it is now, it is 12:44 p.m. Arizona time on Saturday, the 29th of October. I'm asking you to take note of that because I am going to say I am willing to take back some of what I've been saying about Warren Ellis. But I am totally willing to take back all of my fears about Warren Ellis taking over this title, or however long or short that it's going to be. Because he's crafted this into a really smart, fun, clever ride for the last couple issues that he's done. And this issue continues that. So, to you, Warren Ellis, I say, I'm sorry that I had so little faith in you when it came to this particular comic. You have fucked up other things for me, though, and I won't forgive you for that. But for this, I hope you can forgive me. So, if you're out there, if you're listening, just putting that out there. So here we have, obviously, since we've seen Shang-Chi, or, you know, Bruce Lee, on the cover, we know he's going to be part of it. I like the fact that he is a secret Avenger, even though he's kind of he thinks of himself as kind of just being a thug in this. And he's fighting the Shadow, Cap, and Commander Rogers and Sharon and Beast have discovered basically a plan for the Shadow Empire to obtain transmatter. Now, transmatter, just a couple of gallons of transmatter, which exists in places like the negative zone and stuff like that, can basically turn the Earth into the sun. It can literally destroy all life on Earth, and as Beast says, it's terrible and it's horrifically simple, is how he puts it. It's just that just a couple gallons and boom, you have a completely dead planet. So they basically go into this kind of MC Escher universe to get this stuff back, and Shang-Chi has been told to incapacitate any of the combatants that come into his field of vision, because you don't get second chances with the Shadow Empire. And doesn't want to have, and Cap and Sharon, when they come through, they don't want to have to go through the same guys again just because they've been knocked out. No, he wants them incapacitated. And Shang-Chi is very efficient about incapacitating people. David Aja, whose work I've admired since his work on the Immortal Iron Fist, really brings that work to bear here, and the art is terrific. It's great stuff. And, especially, some of the spreads where they are going up these, sideways and downwards and upside down staircases and stuff like that. And they're fighting and they're kicking the shit out of, again, anybody that comes into that gets in their way. So what Ellis has done here is that he's taken the concept of these Marvel characters, and he realizes the absurdity of just having that these characters even exist is absurd. that they have to exist in a world like this, that this world that we as writers, artists, creators, and ultimately as readers have helped to form. And because never let it be said that that just you buying the comic actually does contribute to the creative process of these people. So we are creators as well. But anyway, he realizes, he identifies the absurdity of it, but instead of, just saying, you know what, fuck it, instead of, kind of going on a Garth Ennis thing and saying, you know what, yeah, superheroes are just big psychotics who have, they're all idiots and they just, power goes to their head. He still treats them with reverence and respect. So it is silly and it is goofy at times. But that ultimately becomes what's fun about reading this book. Now, because when it kind of started out as, with Brubaker and this being kind of like the Black Ops Avengers title, it was darker. And you also, having, someone like Mike Deodato doing the art on Secret Avengers also made it darker because he does tend to use a much darker color palette. And Brubaker just, his direction finder is normally in the direction, okay, I'm going dark here. But, he, and, Nick Spencer and the couple issues that he did, were great comic. It was great comic work, and this is not as good as Spencer's stuff, but it's actually, strangely enough, I think, almost better than Brubaker's stuff, because it does allow them to have a little bit of fun. It's not so unrelentingly dark. And conspiratorial and so on and so forth. It's it's kind of and he's doing essentially just kind of one issue and out as far as Ellis is concerned. He's not doing an expanded arc here. He's just doing, okay, well, here's one issue that focuses on this character, and here's another one, and here's another one. So it's just these self-contained issues, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with it. If that gets sometimes that can get to be too much, but Warren Ellis is not doing that yet. So, hats off to you, Warren. You've really impressed me with this work, because most of your other stuff with all of your super science and facty shit, does turn me off. But this works unabashedly. It totally works for me. Let's talk about FF number 11. Again, Jonathan Hickman, Barry Kitson doing the art, not Steve Epting. Not a problem for me. I'm getting really attached actually to Barry Kitson's art on this because as I've said before, I really like Barry Kitson's art. It's not a favorite of mine it's not as big of a favorite as Steve Epting's art, but it's still very, very, very good. Now, what's awesome about Hickman's run on this comic, on FF, is that he understands and gets like the big brain concepts, the big science stuff. And I know I just kind of dissed Warren Ellis because Warren Ellis goes way out there, way overboard. But, John Hickman seems to, it's like he understands that this is a very science-based comic. He's got one of the biggest brains of the entire Marvel Universe at his disposal, so he can use these much more higher concept ideas to work with. And he works with them incredibly well. But he also understands that the FF is very, very largely about family. That the FF, they're not just a team like the Avengers or the Justice League. They're a family. They're all kind of related to one another, sort of. I mean, obviously that's losing Johnny Storm. We've lost a family member. But bringing in Spidey and his own kind of unique, his kind of big brain, because that was, this is someone that, Spidey is someone that Reed can, he can talk to, and they can speak geek to one another, or more nerd, because that's more nerd stuff. But again, that it really is about family. So, and I'm glad, but I'm glad about this, but I also kind of knew that the questions that were being raised in earlier issues of this, where I was reading them and I was kind of like lost. I don't know what the hell is going on. That was, just kind of, I appreciate it, but I just don't know what the hell is going on here. They're finally being answered here. With Ronan, the Accuser, and with the Kree, and with Black Bolt and the Inhumans, and with the Reeds, and and with, not so much with Reeds, with Nathaniel Richards, but this is a severely underhyped comic, in my opinion, because this issue alone signals that, we're going to have Fantastic Four number 600 coming out, I think, next month, signifying, the thus and such anniversary of the comic, that's gotten to 600 issues, but also, importantly, but it still seems like, okay, well, this is still very underhyped, because you have something going on in this comic that is, like, worthy of, like, Kree-Skrull War attention. You have this incredible conflict that is coming to Earth, and it's here in this issue, at least at the end, and and he's got he's got the Avengers there, and he's got an X-Man or two there, and he's all of these all of these heroes are there, and Reed is actually trying to explain them, but there's this great moment between the Thing and She-Hulk and Sue, about Ben doing the dishes, and it's one of those great moments, one of those great family moments that I was talking about before, that Hickman brings to the dynamic of the FF, that should always be there. That should be omnipresent. It should be the first and foremost thing on any writer who takes on the Fantastic Four. It should be the first and foremost thing on their mind, that FF is about family, and that's where this book absolutely succeeds. The Flash, number 2. Again, this book took a huge leap in a direction that I honestly didn't see it going. And I think that Francis Manapul and his co-writer, whose name I forget, they went out on a big limb here, and it works really, really well. Again, The Flash, this is this terrific kind of retcon of his, certainly not his origin, certainly not starting from scratch. We are starting from early on in his career. And he sets up the idea that Flash, when he's talking to one of his, the Flash is talking to one of his science dude buddies, and, they're kind of monitoring him, and there's a joke about a cosmic treadmill. His science, his Bill Nye the Science Guy buddy, basically tells him that, the speed of your, you're only using a certain percentage of the speed that you have connected to you, and part of that speed also lies within your brain. Your brain can work faster. And so, and they talk about, kind of more psychological concepts, but that Barry starts using his brain in the super fast way so that he can see things before they even happen. It's like literally, it's kind of like stepping out of himself and into the future, and then he sees the patterns that emerge there, and he goes into Flash mode and stops it. But then we still have this issue with his friend, the clone, Black Ops thing, and this is kind of, and this is helping to expand obviously where Flash needs to go from here. But that central idea is so cool and so original. And I like that this is a bright comic. So anyway, we're going to come back in just a few moments, so stick around. We've got more to talk about.